A 35-year-old Texas woman is now accused of murdering her former judge boyfriend. What'd she do? She gave him a drug that she may not have even known had a lethal amount of fentanyl. Think about that. Murder. Even though Kamie Ludwig may have thought she was giving him Xanax. But it might not matter in Texas, where a new law passed by the state, signed by Governor Abbott in September, classifies the supplying of fentanyl that results in death as murder.
I think this is the best pathway forward to achieve a goal.
But that goal was to target drug dealers, right? Rightfully so. Thousands of Texans dying annually from fentanyl poisoning. Obviously, it's a national scourge. But criminal drug dealers aren't typically in the habit of calling 911 when one of their customers overdoses on their product. But that's exactly what Kamie Ludwig did. Back in November, she was the one who called the police, identified herself to the dispatcher. Upon arrival, first responders say they found Nolan, the victim, dead, quote, with signs consistent with an opioid overdose. Investigators say they were able to gather evidence showing that Ludwig purchased fentanyl-laced pills and gave them to Nolan. Ludwig turned herself into authorities in February, 3 days after an arrest warrant for murder was issued. According to a probable cause affidavit, when police and medical personnel responded to the 911 call from Ludwig, Ludwig appeared, quote, extremely emotional as well as erratic in her behavior. Now, the victim's 9-year-old son was in the home when his dad was found with bluish-purple skin and white foam around his nose and mouth. M30 pill, which are known to be laced with fentanyl, was found on the stairs. Cocaine and other M30 pills were also found inside the home. Ludwig was initially arrested that night because she had controlled substances inside her purse, but she was released. Then she turned herself in later. A search of her phone allegedly revealed that she got the pills from subjects known as Blue and T, and she allegedly received a package from them with an iPhone box, which she believed to be filled with Xanax. Now, clearly it's still not legal to be buying Xanax from a couple of drug dealers. But hypothetically, if that's all Ludwig thought she was doing, and then gave what she thought was Xanax to her boyfriend, only the pills were laced with fentanyl, and he dies, should she now be looking at up to life in prison? Back with us, attorneys Geraldo Rivera, Misty Marris, and Jesse Weber. Misty Marris, does this law stick? I mean, I would assume she's going to now not only challenge her case, but potentially challenge this law.
Yeah, the law is definitely going to be challenged. It basically makes anybody who overdoses a murder victim. And the theory behind it is very good. There's a fentanyl crisis in this country. It's to have accountability on those that are distributing it. But does this take it one step too far? The language of the statute is knowingly manufactures or distributes. So her defense attorneys are going to argue that the distribution, it wasn't knowing. She did not know that it's fentanyl. And Dan, to your point, this is the type of thing that's going to go up to the appellate courts to see if this law is going to be deemed something that just goes too far as the rights of the individuals.
So, Jesse, based on what Misty's saying, the authorities clearly believe that she knew that there was fentanyl?
Right, exactly. That they're not taking her story for it, that you had to have known what you're buying here and what you used. And so it was really, she was initially charged with possession. They look at her phone conversations and then they hit her with the murder charge. I'd like to address one thing here. Yes, she's not the first person charged under this new law. I imagine this could also be a situation, even if it's a close case and she gets convicted, the judge has discretion. And the judge may say, I'm not giving her 90 years in prison. I'm going to give her the minimum of 5. This might be a situation where judges say, I might disagree with this law. Yeah, you were convicted under it, but I'm not going to ruin the rest of your life over it.
This is the Grapevine, Texas police talking about the new law, number 2.
The investigation is ongoing to everyone who may have contributed to this death. That includes the dealers in this case. If you give someone a fentanyl-laced pill and they die, you are responsible for their death.
Geraldo, what do you make of it?
They say the road to hell is paved by good intentions, and I think that Governor Abbott, like the other governors facing this horrible fentanyl epidemic, over 100,000 overdoses, more than 60,000 of them fentanyl related. It's a scourge in a border state like Texas. They're so obsessed about the border and the fentanyl being smuggled over the Mexico southern border. I think that the intent as described in the new statute, I think that this statute is unconstitutionally vague, in my opinion. And it makes no distinction between this woman and whatever her culpability may be and some a real hardcore dealer who wiped out half a town with his tainted product. You've got to have reason behind these attempts, these politicized attempts to take the criminal justice system and make a message. This is a message statute. This is be on notice. If you do this, the world for you will end. It's I get it. I understand it. I sympathize with the intent. But this woman was not the intended target of this new punitive statute in
But
Texas.
Jesse, they would say she's the one who gave him the drugs, and she was out there buying the drugs.
Yeah, it's knowingly manufactures or distributes. I think Geraldo raises a good point, perhaps because creating a distinction between those who are creating the product and distributing versus those who have actual problems, have an addiction, are users. Do you really want to criminalize that behavior? You buy drugs for yourself and others who are addicted, and you're now responsible for their deaths? I mean, we have similar cases where we're talking about it. I get Governor Abbott's move here. It's kind of a wake-up call to people in that state. But at the end of the day, if you're going to have people going to prison for the rest of their lives, they already have these kinds of addiction issues. Is that what we want?
Right, and I think the problem is, Misty, that everyone is agreeing that what she did was bad and wrong. That's different from saying it's murder.
Absolutely. Does this rise to the level where a murder charge is appropriate? And there's certainly novel appellate issues. And Dan, we're seeing legal theories, similar ones, cropping up all around the country, whether it be changes to statutes or already expanding legal theories that exist to encompass this type of thing, holding every single person in the chain of distribution, whether it be this type of situation or a true drug dealer. It's happening all around the country, so it's certainly something to watch on that appellate level as these cases make their way through the system.
Everyone's going to stick around. Next up,